Hey people, Frank Cement here. Working on Scorpion. I'm be test fitting the tracks on there. Yeah. So I got the thing set up on the table, and I got the drive sprocket section all mocked up for it, and still got to do a couple things like mount the shocks and figure out the travel on this thing, the adjustability or the alignment on the A-arms, all that crap. So let me show you what I got. Okay, I don't have any of the pulleys or rotors or anything. That's not what I'm working on right now. I'm working on this part, so that's all I need attached to it. Final thought on the pedal block flange bearing. I'll probably have to pin it. Pinning it is where you drill holes and put a pin to where it'll line everything up. That way if you take it off, you put it back on, you don't have to do any adjustments. I'll probably have to do that. Besides, it might move because there is adjustability into it through the bolt holes. They're slotted, so every time I put the housing on and it goes on the pins, it'll line everything up automatically. Probably won't have to do that to the insides because there's probably not going to be that much tension or pressure on it. Center bearing pretty much stays in place. It's not adjustable, and when I put the axle shafts in there, it pivots on that center bearing. That helps line everything up. This center bearing is lined up with this center bearing perfectly. When I welded everything together, you notice when I did the other video, the shaft was all one piece and it spun free. So that is a good sign of these two bearing holes being lined up perfectly. So the alignment is going to be based off of these two center bearing holes. Got the sprockets lined up to the guide channels. I got the draggers on there. On the ATLTF forum is pics of me putting these on. Because of the video before that, I was just showing you guys how I was thinking of this stuff. So on the forum, it goes into more detail on what I did and how I did it. Okay, on this side, I'll probably be doing this side first. I mocked it up to fit the air shocks on it. These are automotive air shocks I got from the junkyard. Cheaper at the junkyard. New says, pretty pricey. I hope I don't have to get a new set for the other side. I gotta go junkyard and get another set. At the junkyard, they're $30 for both of them. If I buy them new, it's $80, so $50 difference. And they're not too old. The shock part still works, and hopefully the airbag still works. When I pulled them off, they still had air trapped in them, so that's a good sign. As for the front wheels, they are adjustable. They'll be spring loaded. This one catches a little bit. Let's try the other side. That'll probably wear in. I ain't worried about it, but they'll be spring loaded for when I put the tracks on there. The tracks will be in constant tension. That way I don't have to constantly adjust the front wheels. There'll be a rod pushing on this end, under view on how it works. Just slides through tubing. I'll have a rod pushing on this end with springs. The springs will be going into the framing because there's no room to put them anywhere else. So I got to make a 90-degree turn with linkage to push on the tensioner rod. And I have to make something extend this a little bit to keep these from spinning, because if you notice, they're hitting the draggers. I don't want it completely compressed, hit an obstacle, and start bending stuff, so that needs to be addressed. Simple fix, just extend this channel past the axle. Probably bring it out 6 inches. I doubt I'll need all this travel in them, but it's good to know I can get it. A-frames, I noticed when I put them on there and I welded them up, they're not lined up when they're fully extended, so I drilled the 2 outside holes bigger, way bigger. I used a 9/16 drill bit so it can pivot. I'm going to put washers on the end of these to where I put them where I want them. I could weld the washers in and it'll stay there. I'll just have the side-by-side movement on them for a little bit of adjustability, and then these should be fine. If I have to, I could do the same thing to the bogies. So on the agenda for this part, I'm going to be test fitting tracks. Ought to be cool. I should have one complete track on there to where I could just roll it. Everything is on there for it. The bogies, the sprocket, the front wheels. I just gotta, well, the goal is to figure out how long a track I need. So already just playing with it. I was dragging it across there. I gotta chop this off to about here, otherwise it will be hanging up on it when the track slacks down into this. I want to keep this area open. I was wanting to extend these a little more, but if the track ever breaks coming out the sprocket, I'd probably want it to go down the hole instead of just being thrown up on here and bending stuff. I'd rather it throw down into this area and get kicked out of the side, so controlling a breakage, I guess. And then I'll trim these edges down a little bit for when I put the angle iron on there. I'll use angle iron to extend these channels, and then I'll trim this down to the angle iron. I shouldn't have to go past the angle iron. Okay, that's what this is going to be about. Can't wait till I'm done. Okay, first order of business is I'm going to finish off the suspension. I need to mount the shocks and put in stops and probably straps for maximum travel and minimum travels. So I'll show you my mock-up. Of course, I got them sitting on wood. I got the A-frames all the way up to where they almost bind up on the framing. These bogies are actually touching the top of the framing. Front one sitting in these bars. The back one sitting the sprocket. So I'm going to set up the shocks for minimum travel and maximum travel through the shocks. I doubt I'll use all that height, which is where the straps will come in. And I fill up the air shocks. These are automotive air shocks, by the way. Pull them off a minivan. They had a air ride system in it, and they'll be adjustable individually. I'll pull this line off and use a Schrader valve. I'll solder it in there maybe, or connect it through a hose. I got the Schrader valve off of a valve stem. I just cut the rubber out and you get the metal piece, which is the Schrader valve part. That's how I got the Schrader valves. Got enough bad rims laying around here with valve stems in them. So, back to this, the air shock. For minimum travel, fit it in here. This is where it'll be mounting onto the frame, and then the back of the A-frame right at the end. Just happens to work out that way. The back air shock will be a little higher than the front. The front, when I set it in there, I need to make room from here all the way across. I need to leave empty because there'll be a rod pushing on the tensioners, so I need to have space for that. And then this mount will be lower on the frame. I'm going to take a piece of flat steel stock, go from here to here, so it'll be on an angle. Flat steel stock is 3/16 thick, 1 inch wide. So cut the pieces. When I come back, I'll show you what I got. Okay, let me show you where I'm at. I got one shock mounted on the frame. Got the brackets on the frame, and then I got the brackets on the A-frame. It's all the way down. The shock will bind up and stop it, but I'll never use that much travel because the bogie isn't even level. So you can see it's pointed down. Probably be like that, but it could go all the way up. I'll get bird view. And as for the other side, I got the A-frame done. See how I made the bracket. It's pretty much identical to the other side, but I didn't weld on the bracket yet. And I still have to do the back A-frame bracket on both sides. This side will go all the way up, and it'll hit the frame. So, or it could hit the tensioner. I'll put a stop on there, right there, on the A-frame, so it won't damage the shock. I doubt I'll never have the bogie go up like that. Most it'll probably do is right there, straight line to the front wheel. To be continued. Okay, I figure I'll show you these before I weld them in and press forward. These are the shock brackets on the A-frames. I already showed you the shock brackets on the frame. Okay, so they're pretty much open on one end and open on the other. This part is for the bogie to articulate. I made marks to where you get the full range on the bogie rotating on the A-frame, so it doesn't touch the shock bracket at all. And I'll just weld them in. These are the two back ones. The two front ones are already done, of course, with the shock on it, so they're just laying there. Okay. Hey, it's getting dark. Well, let me turn around. Check it out. Got the shocks on. Let's see, right there, right there, and I got the brackets on. This side is pretty much done except for the stops. I need limit straps and then stops right where they connect to the suspension bar. Same thing with the back. I need stops, and then limit straps will be chains somewhere on the back and then somewhere on the front, coming off the frame going to the bracket. That's the suspension all the way compressed. When I come back, they'll be all the way extended to where I want it to be at the ride height. Okay, here's the suspension all the way extended to where I want it. It could go further, but I don't think it'll serve any kind of benefit for it to be more. Stuff will start binding, the shocks will start hitting the bending A-frames right here. That's all it'll be. Oh, there goes my mock-up. So, this is pretty much how the setup's going to be with the ride height. I figure 7 inches of travel in the front, about 6 inches of travel in the back. Okay.